I think you should hear this.
Welcome to I Think You Should Hear This. Today is a special podcast episode. We're doing it via Zoom as my guest here is in Perth in the mines at the moment. So we know we spoke a while back, and I believe you were at 33 days of your sobriety journey when I first made the podcast, and you said, let's do an interview when I get to 100. And so last Thursday, you ticked over 100 days sober. And so here we are doing the interview. As we said, we've both kept to our word. And here we are. So congratulations on 100 days. Now sitting at, are you still counting? 100, 105 or something?
Yeah, it's about 106 or 7 now.
Yep.
So, yeah. So we're well and truly over the 100. And, yeah, thanks for the intro, bro. Appreciate that.
No worries. So we know each other from Lorimer Football Club. We both played there in 2018. Which is in the northern suburbs of Melbourne. Would you say northeast? Slightly, yeah. Up near Whittlesea, for those who don't know. It was a great time. It was a very new club. They've seen some success since then, which is awesome to see. Winning the flag 2 years ago. Your footy journey. How much did you play after that? Did you play it anywhere after?
So no, mate, no. So I retired after that final in 2018. It was an elimination final, and we played pretty poorly that day. I think we got belted by Reservoir by 10 odd goals. So, I think, so that was my last game. But as far as my footy journey, basically played for like 25 years, mate. Started off like we all do, playing Auskick through the ranks in the northern suburbs of Melbourne, Preston RSL. And then basically just I never played a couple of senior games along the way when I was in my early 20s, but pretty much I was a twos player the whole way through, and I really played for the love of the game, not so much, because I had the ability. I always gave it a go, as you know, always had a good attitude, always went to training, and but my talent lacked a little bit, but absolutely loved the game. And just through watching the Tigers and playing footy in the Northern Football Netball League and the Yarra Junior Footy League over the years. Absolutely love the journey. And I crooked my knee a couple of years after I retired skateboarding, being a little bit silly during the COVID period, bro. So, unfortunately, there's no comeback rendezvous with the old footy career. So, yeah. Awesome.
I'd love to chat about, we can go pre-COVID because you're a very well-traveled man. What is it about travel for you that you really enjoy? So for those who don't know, we know you've got a YouTube channel and you do vlogging and you take us on your trips with you pretty much and document your journey. Where did that start for you?
So pretty much traveling started for me. I've absolutely loved it. It's always been a pastime. I've enjoyed it. But the big trip was when I was 17. Went to New Zealand with my family, and I went skydiving over Lake Wanaka in the South Island of New Zealand, and that was really the start of my traveling journey and me falling in love with traveling. Since then, I've been to 56 countries, so 57 in total, and I guess for me, mate, traveling gives me the ability to just feel free, and it's kind of where I feel most alive. I don't feel all that alive when I'm just doing the normal so-called, Monday to Friday, to and fro work. I feel most alive when I'm experienced life, from different points of view and perspective. So, I love it. And as far as the YouTube goes, mate, I've been filming myself pretty much my whole life with the old JVC cameras back in the day in the late 90s. And I've been doing the YouTube for a few years, since about 2019. And, I just like to show people by living vicariously through my eyes, as I like to say, on my adventures. Haven't had too much success with it. I've got about 2,500, 3,000 subscribers. I've earned a little bit of coin from it, but I do it just for more so, the memories and looking back. And, if I was ever to have children one day, look what Papa got up to back in the day. So, and I actually enjoyed doing vlogging, and I learned about a lot about editing. As I did a Bachelor of Sports Media a few years back, and yeah, so it's just more of a pastime these days, more so than I guess a career as such, which I thought it might be in the early days. So, but yeah, worth checking out if you do, or if you haven't really traveled and you want some inspiration to travel. There's some really good vlogs on there to check out for sure.
Do you want to drop the name of the channel?
Yeah, so it's Winstone Travel. So my surname Winstone, Winstone. Second word is travel. So thanks for the little plug there, Scriver.
No, you're right, mate.
Appreciate that.
It's awesome to see. Maybe we can touch on your most recent upload, which was the slums of Manila. Was it Philippines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
what was your experience like there?
Yeah, so I guess I did that video because I work in the fly-in, fly-out industry. So it's all the people over east, back where I used to be from, which is I grew up in Melbourne. So it's fly-in, fly-out, or FIFO, or FIFO, as some of the international contingent call it. Basically, long story short, I'm an operator. At the moment, I'm driving the big 777 dump trucks. So I'm on a 2-on-1 schedule. So they fly us in and out of Perth. So at the moment, I'm working up at a site near Kalgoorlie. So it's all expenses paid, free travel, free accommodation, free food. They've got a gym up there, but you're working for your coin. So when you get up there, 12.5-hour days, basically I work, go to the gym, eat good food, rinse and repeat. 7 days, then 7 nights, and then I get 7 days off. So in this timeline, it's really good. I'm saving cash, and I'm blessed to have an opportunity and a job like that, considering I basically spent 4 or 5 years straight over in Europe. And yeah, mate, it's certainly an experience. It also gave me the opportunity to go to Tondo. Why did I do that? There's a lot of privilege in the mines. There's a lot of sort of prestige. And I guess, with our standards in the Western world compared to what you see over there, there's a lot of entitlement. I guess, how lucky I've been to see the world, not just from, a tourist perspective, but I've actually lived in other countries like Sweden, Germany, France, etc. So I guess I like to just show people that, if you're having a bad day, or what we consider having a bad day down under or the West, I ventured into a dangerous park. It was called Tondo. And, mate, I highly recommend, that's my latest drop. I literally dropped it this morning. Jump on there, guys, and just check out how these people live. They're really happy too. They call it Happy Land. That's the nickname for Tondo in Manila, Philippines. And it just was surreal, mate. And just to cap it off, the real moment that really got me was, over here we have the NDIS. It's for people with disabilities, etc. So over there, there's no such thing as a disability service. There might be if you're loaded, but essentially I was just filming the slums, and there was this girl just absolutely just in hysterics. So it's about the video goes for 37 minutes. It's about the 30-minute mark. And I captured this exchange with this girl who was disabled. She was getting horribly bullied and teased. Obviously I don't understand Filipino language, but I could basically understand. So I just pulled her up. I sort of, just started talking to her. I had a translator with me, and we gave her some money and bought her some food. But it was just a real eye opener. And anyone with a half a heart would just be like, wow. So yeah, if your discretion, if you don't like seeing hardship, don't watch it. But it certainly will open your eyes up to another world. And you can't compare the two because third world and first world. But I guess it just gives you a little bit of perspective of we are in the entity at 8 billion, population worldwide, and we we're all different shapes, size, colours, and races, and we go think about things a bit differently. But I guess it's just opening people's eyes up to what the world really is, and also getting out of your comfort zone, and not sort of, I guess, whinging and moaning like we probably all have in the Western world. So that was an extended answer, but yeah, that's sort of how I view it, especially after traveling so many years. Yeah. So yeah.
Cool. I think that's an awesome segue to make from that is you're talking about witnessing other people's hardships in Manila and the things that they've gone through. And a common theme of this podcast is speaking about people's personal experience and hardships that they've gone through. So, we know that alcohol and addiction was a hardship that you've gone through, but is there any other things, because we'll touch on that a bit later, that you experienced like as a youth, like we've touched on, that have led you to show up in the world later on in life, like you had problems with a previous relationship due to abandonment. Did you want to touch on that for people that may be experiencing the same sort of thing, or have dealt with the same sort of thing as a child, and what you've used to overcome that?
Yeah, mate, great question. And I think, to be honest, Scriv is, do you want me to call you
Yeah, that's
Scriv,
fine.
John?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's okay. Yeah. So the big thing for me, mate, is so as a child, broken family. There was a lot of drugs in my family, sort of like not indirectly with my family, but sort of like extended family. So it was pretty much the norm. See things such as heroin, bongs sitting on the table, and that abandonment. And it probably wasn't my mum's fault. And you sort of forgive people as you get older, because I love my mum unconditionally, but she had it pretty hard with a broken marriage and then remarrying later on, raising us three kids essentially by herself. So that's where the abandonment came from. Probably my mum probably looked after us in the sense of she'd always provide for us, always had meals on the table, clothes on our back, she'd get us to school, but probably emotionally went missing a little bit. So that's where that abandonment comes from. And to be honest, mate, I used travel as a way of escaping my pain, which I didn't know when I was younger. But
Mm.
essentially, I escaped my reality. And then along came with that. I was a bit of a party lad back in the day. Revolver was my second home for quite a few years there in the early 2010s, from about '09 to about 2014, 15. And also along with that came like gambling as well. So Crown Casino, I was involved in the poker scene, had some success early on. And that was all my escape from reality. So we're talking alcohol, drugs, and gambling were my sort of, I call it the trifecta. And that was all due to the abandonment and trauma that I experienced from when I was a young age. So, in a nutshell, mate, I use things such as travel and the three vices I just mentioned to escape my reality. And it's got me to this point now where I guess I would say the last 4 years, I began the journey back in 2021 to sort of sober up, and I do many days. I don't gamble anymore. I think the last time I did drugs was about two and a bit years ago. I quit cigarettes 2 years ago as well. And then obviously the last sort of thing was the alcohol. So, it's 106, 107 days and we're going strong. But yeah, it's a hard, long answer. But basically, mate, abandonment and trauma were things that I didn't deal with because I didn't know how to deal with it as a younger person. And it's taken me to age 32, 33, up till 36, and still healing every single day to get to a point where, enough's enough. And, doing those vices, although it's fun at the time and it feels good, you're just really delaying your healing process. And that's what the message I'd send to any younger person or anyone really, even if they're my age or even older, that the longer you make the incorrect decisions, and we all know deep down that they are the wrong decisions, the longer you're going to be sitting in silence and suffering in your own pain and your own pity. And that's the honest truth. No one, the old saying, mate, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it, mate. So, yeah, and that was me for the longest of time. I used to just have these false dawns to kind of get people off my back, but I didn't actually really want to change. And it was, I had to make that decision myself in the end. So, yeah. But, yeah, that's the long, extended answer. But I kind of need to explain it like that just because it's taken me it's taken me a while to sort of mature, so to speak. So yeah.
I think that's a great thing. What you said there is you can put it off for as long as you want, but at the end of the day, if you're looking at those vices, you come back down from them and you feel just as shit as you did before you did them, if not worse, because you're hungover, you've got no money because you gambled it, you're coming down. or you're sick, like you feel bad. So, um, unfortunately, you can't run forever. It'll catch up to you. And what was a catalyst for you? So you mentioned 2021 was the start. What was the thing that clicked for you? Like, all right, I've got to change my ways.
So I mentioned before, I did my knee while skateboarding. So basically, so after footy, I found that so footy was always a good,
Outlet.
even though I played at a local club level. It doesn't matter, mate. Doesn't matter what level you play, you still love it. And I think that's the great thing about footy. No matter what level you play, it does give you that outlet to go train, to make friends, to have that battlefield on a Saturday arvo, to put your whatever's going on during that week and have a common goal, and that's to win a game of footy through tactics and positions and teamwork and camaraderie. So once that was taken away from me, obviously you get older. I pretty much basically went on a massive bender, mate, to be honest. I got involved with people who I knew were bad eggs, if that makes sense. And I let my guard down. Had a relationship, I wouldn't say bust up, but some troubles at the time. And basically, I just lost all inhibition, mate, to be honest. And it was going through that 2020 period. I was at my lowest. I'll just say, man, because I got no shame. I was doing drugs such as coke, tried a bit of meth as well. It's a pretty common thing, especially in Melbourne. And yeah, that was an all-time low. When I tried that drug, that evil drug, meth, it put me to places. I was doing some silly things on social media, trying to do comedy shit, and I was just absolutely hooked out of my brains. And that's just honest truth, man. And it was an emotional time. And I guess essentially when I did my knee and I spent 27 days at the Royal Melbourne Hospital was when I knew I can't live like this. This is junkie stage. This is like getting to the point where I could die, let alone, forget about my reputation at that point in time, mate. Like I had to change for myself. And that was the catalyst. When I did my knee, silly, I was on drugs. I was pissed up down the local. I think I had about 8 cans of Cooper's Pale Ale that day, the green cans. I was drunk. I was on drugs, and I was skateboarding during the COVID period at the Brunswick skate park. I tried to do a trick I shouldn't have done. Landed on a straight leg from about 3 meters in the air, straight on a concrete, like a vert bowl, straight in. Skateboarding, and my whole knee just literally, mate, it was like a chicken wing. Popped out, ACL, PCL, dislocated kneecap, and it took 6 paramedics to drag my fat ass out of the skate bowl. And that was a humiliating, let alone my mum, like the stress I put my fucking mum through, excuse the French. Yeah, it was just a really bad time, mate. And that was sort of the start of it. And that's why I got overseas with my former partner and lived over there for 3 or 4 years to get out of Melbourne. Because if I had stayed in Melbourne, mate, I'll be honest, Scriv, I would have either been either washed up on drugs, probably, dead, or who knows, man. You don't know how far you go. Do you get involved in crime? You lose all inhibition of what reality is. So yeah, so that's a pretty in-depth answer and pretty real and raw, but that's the truth. And the reality is I hit pretty much rock bottom. There's not much lower I could have gone, but that's, I guess, the warning and the message to people. It's all fun, but it can lead you to places you would think, mate, that guy's a junkie. I'll never be like that. Fast forward a decade, I was exactly that fucking person. So yeah, it can happen to the best of us, mate. 100%.
Yeah, I really appreciate the honesty and vulnerability. It does take a lot of courage to speak about those experiences. So props to you for that, and I appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't know that the depth that it got to. So that's news to me, and it does suck that it has to get to that point. But I guess I'm sure that you're grateful for that it did get to that point, that you did do your knee, because if you didn't, where could you end up? So it's probably a blessing in disguise. So 2021.
Yeah, go, sorry.
No, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah. I was going to say, so 2021, you've moved overseas.
Yeah,
You go if you want. Yeah.
So I was just going to add in there. Like, anyone who is doing that drug, ice. I only briefly got in it for about a month period, but it is. I've done just about. The only drug I've never touched is heroin. But at all the drugs I've tried, by far, that is the worst drug. That is a putrid drug. So, and this is coming from a guy who, as I said, grew up in a good family and all that. So I can get anybody. And I know people, I've seen people, we're talking high flyers, get on that stuff, and destroyed, like losing houses, wives, kids, family, like losing, like, so I'm lucky that that I was a single man at the time. I wasn't single, but like, I'm lucky I didn't have any family because it would have got a whole lot worse. So if there's anyone watching this, or when they do watch it, just stay, like, if you're on that shit, just fucking get away from that drug. That is the most putrid drug out of all of them by absolute country mile. That's just an opinion, but I'm just throwing that in there, mate, because I know you've got a good following, and I'm sure there are people who probably dabbled in that and probably just wouldn't have or aren't in the position to sort of do anything about it yet. But get away from that drug for sure. So yeah,
I think all people need to do is look at the very public story of Ben Cousins and what he put his family through. Not only what happened to him, he ended up in jail and that sort of thing, but it's like it's a very slippery slope. So best to
100%.
together. I want to fast forward a bit. So you moved overseas. The one that I really want to speak about, because it's again going through hardship, but this time it's a hardship or a challenge you decided to put yourself through, which takes a lot of resilience, strength, and talking about doing the hard things. And yeah, we're seeing Ned Brockman do it at the moment, running 100 miles a day. But you cycled from Paris to Nice, and
I
I
did,
loved
mate. Yeah,
watching that along the way. You definitely enjoyed a few beers along the way, but to get up and cycle just about every day from one side of the country to another is a pretty bloody awesome effort. Would you like to tell us a story of what made you decide to do it, take the challenge on, and then what was your experience like?
So mentally, your mind goes to some pretty dark places when you've essentially completely self-sabotaged and destroyed yourself. But for me, mate, I lost a lot of mates around 2019. Just throughout the time, poor behaviour, like antisocial behaviour. I remember one weekend I went up to Brisbane, and at this point, just the year before, I was sitting on the wedding table of the sister of my former best friend. And I went from that and behind the scenes, no one really knew. This was when I was at Lorimer, mate. So behind the scenes, even though you would have met me as a fairly like composed person, behind the scenes, my life was falling to bits. And anyway, I went up to Brisbane. Long story short, got into a fisticuff, ended up in the cells for the night, black eye, just drunk off my nut. And then that's the last time I ever saw that group of friends. They basically cut me off. And I don't blame them, when you're an unhealthy person. And they did warn me along the way to sort of pull up, but I didn't, mate. I had to get even lower. So essentially, going back to the French trip, so that was September 2022. So it began on September 1st. From Paris all the way to Nice. I got to Nice on the 28th of September. And that was what a lot of it was about, healing, man, finding myself again. So when you're out on the open road on a bike, just like that Ned Brockman, he's running like, I don't know how many marathons in a short amount of time, but it gives you a lot of self-reflection. And for me, that's what it was all about. By that stage, I'd been, virtually clear from the drugs, other than the odd sort of line here or there on a Saturday night. So I'm not condoning drugs. I'm just saying from where I was in a lot better mind frame in that period of time. But I did it basically to challenge myself and say, you know what, like, you need to do some self-reflection. You need to, let alone my knee really benefited from that cycling trip as well, because it was still a bit wonky at the time. But it was more to prove that I can do hard things, albeit I had a lot of fun along the way. I had a few beers and had some laughs and jokes, but just things like pitching a tent and just doing like things that I never really got brought up doing when I was young. So pitch at a tent. It's called bike packing. So essentially like backpacking, but you've got a bike with you. And that trip was 1,500 kilometers. I averaged about 54 kilometers a day. My record was about 105 kilometers in the one day. but it was more just about self-reflection, doing something that's hard, and like the old saying goes, you don't start something and then not finish it. And that's what that trip was all about, like about building my own sort of like, it's hard to explain, but my own resilience and my own self-respect again. Like that's what that trip was all about, mate. And I raised a bit of money along the way for Beyond Blue because I suffered, things like anxiety, depression, mental health issues. So yeah, mate. That's what that trip was all about. Was just believing in myself again, mainly, and forgive myself about things that I, unfortunately, you make those mistakes and you can't get them back, mate. And when your best mates of 16 years just drop you like you didn't exist, that hits hard. That hits hard, and it still to this day hits hard. I haven't heard from him in half a decade, 5 years, and before that, I got invited to all the barbecues, all the events, all the lads trips, and then to have that taken away from me, that's a massive slap in the face, but probably one that I needed to begin this healing journey. So I don't blame him, but it is what it is, and I would love to reunite those friendships one day, but I don't think it's going to happen. But you can only learn from it and move forward and do your best to recover and become a better person, better man as you get older. So, yeah.
Yeah, I want to just dive a little bit deeper into the trip. So you said your largest day was 105 Ks. What
Yeah.
goes through your mind when you're on a road when it's only you for that long?
Yeah.
And what are some nights like when you're in pain and you've got to get up and do it all again the next day? Like what does go through your head? Like does giving up ever an option?
No. So we'll go back to that day, 105 Ks. I was actually only meant to cycle about 45 K that day. But I was, I had the wind at my back. It was a beautiful spring French day in the Pyrenees. It was gorgeous, right? And I'll tell you what, the French countryside is the most delightful countryside you'll ever see. But I don't know, man. When you just like in footy, mate, sometimes you're just feeling it, yeah. And that particular day, I just kept on cycling, man, and basically I didn't know, but basically I couldn't stop any earlier. It was like either get to the next town, which is Bourges, so it was about Bourges, or I'm going to have to camp, and it was really cold at night. So basically, to answer your question, the last 45 Ks of that trip, I was all just mental. I was stuffed. My knees were hurting. My calves were hurting. My ass was killing me. But I just said, keep going. And then it was about 10 hours of solid cycling. A couple of pit stops along the way as you do, a couple of beers, and a feed or whatever. But yeah, I just had the wind at my back. I felt good that day. And yeah, 104 5Ks for the day. So it was a good one. And what was the second part of that question?
So what was your thought process like when you were going through? So that day was an easy one then. So maybe we will look at the tougher ones and like what was your going through your head maybe when you're going through the Alps and you've got a massive incline to do, or when you set up for the night and you've got a day ahead of that and you're like, fuck, I'm sore, I don't want to do this. Does the thought ever cross your mind
Yeah.
that to give up or?
Yeah, so 100%, man. Like halfway through that trip, I came down with a shocking cold. I was bedridden in a hotel for a couple of days. I was quite ill. I was sick, and I thought I was just a banded ship because I could have jumped on a train the rest of the way, which would have taken me 3.5 hours. But as I said, you know what? Let's recover and keep going. So it's just, just like life, man. It's like, and what you're doing with your life at the minute, man. Like, it's hard, mate. You're getting out of bed early. You're going to get to the gym. You're going to go do your breath work, whatever. It's the same cycling. It's the same process. It's like, no matter how hard this 9% gradient is in the Pyrenees, right? In a country I'm completely foreign to, it was that literally breaking it down one cycle at a time, 1K at a time. And, that's it's as simple as it is, bro. That's what it came down to, man. And I wasn't going to because if I had just jumped on the train to make it easier, I could have, one, I would have felt like a failure. Two, I was shitting myself. 3, I wouldn't have completed what I started. And 4, what was always in the back of my mind, really, I'm like, I've really only ever got one shot at doing this. When will I ever be in France again with a bike and the funds available to do it? Let alone, I was 34 at the time. There's no guarantees in this world, mate. It doesn't get, mate, trust me, as you get to your mid-30s, it doesn't get any easier. So that's what really got me over the line, mate. Just all those factors. Just, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Let's get the job done. So, yeah.
Did you have any people to lean on for support while you were doing that trip? Like, I know that you had the buy me coffee thing. I definitely bought you a coffee while you're doing that. But in terms of mental support, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, the coffee is my way of earning money on my social media. So it's like a minimum $3 kind of thing. So that was good. To answer the question, man, I just had so much support, man. Like some past acquaintances from my, revolver days. They all got behind me. I remember one morning I woke up and had like all the lads got together. I think they worked together, but they sent me like $1,200, man. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what the hell, mate? Like, couldn't believe it. So I had a lot of moral support from acquaintances, old friendships, and it made me realize, all the places that I'd been around the world, even though I did fail some people due to my addictions and bad behavior, there was still a lot of people who had a lot of good memories about me. So as far as mental support, that helped a lot. I knew people were watching the journey, and my number one supporter is my dad. My dad really, he sent it from start to finish, mate, the whole journey, and he never gave up on me, mate. Even when I was cooked on ice for a brief period there, he, still loved me unconditionally. So my dad would I'd probably speak to my dad at least once every couple of days on that trip, and that's all that really mattered, mate. Like I just had, that's, when you have your quiet moments, if you got your nearest and dearest, like your mum, your dad, and your family who back you in, well, it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. So yeah, it was good to have the external support, but as far as the emotional, real close bond and connection, my dad certainly helped me get through that trip just by being a good parent, just simple, encouraging words, proud of your son, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so that's pretty much what got me through it, mate. So yeah.
Cool. I'll touch on that. So at the start, we mentioned what you saw growing up, and that the abandoned stuff was with your mum. So you lived with her, and she was separated from your dad. What was your relationship like with your dad as a child then?
So yeah, pretty good. My dad was always there emotionally, so he provided the emotional, but my dad wasn't a well man. Nervous breakdown when he was quite young. So extremely intelligent man, just stood by people. And he's had handling these days. But that was the norm when I was a child. Would be to go to the local TAB with my dad. So I would live with my mum during the week and then visit my dad on the weekends, which was the go back in the day. But yeah, he was always there for me emotionally. He's the guy who got me to footy games as a junior. And I think probably, as we all do, sometimes we say things to our parents that, on reflection, pretty harsh. I'm not a parent, but I think my dad did the best he could do given his own hard circumstances. So, it was tough growing up. I learned a lot of things the hard way, but, I don't blame. It's easy to sit back and blame. I used to do a lot of blaming other people, but I've forgiven, for any mishaps that did happen, and I've got massive respect for my folks because what, they did the best they could do, mate, at the time, and that's, I think most parents try and do the best, and yeah, their circumstances didn't exactly lead them to probably be able to lead me in the best of directions at times, but I've got understanding and perspective, and I think you just got to choose to forgive and love unconditionally. So, yeah, that answers that one, Scrooge.
I'd love to, yeah. I got a couple of reflections here and a couple of things I've picked up. So the what you were ending there with is perfect. Our parents just do the best they can with the tools they've got and what they have available to them, right? So I
Yep.
think for us as adults in the next generation, so you don't have any kids yet, potentially will. I definitely plan on it one day. So I think
Definitely.
for us as people who are going to have kids to raise the next generation, we need to have as many tools possible so we can then bring kids into the world with tools available and we don't pass on our trauma to our kids because as you've mentioned all the habits you picked up were from what you saw as a kid. So the TAB with your dad, that's where you got the gambling, and then drugs and alcohol you saw in your house when with your mum. So it's pretty obvious for us to see that habits we pick up from are things that we saw as the norm as kids. So of course, what are we going to do as we grow up? We saw it everywhere. Are we not just going to do the same thing? So I think that's why it's very important for us going forward. And for us, the ones doing the work, like you spoke about, you're doing your own healing journey and things that you've learned that took you to 31, 32 years old to start learning, and now 36 have gone sober. Um, is we can fast track that for our kids and not they don't have to get to 32. We've done all the learning now that we pass that on to them as soon as they're born. And I think the world's in a good place with people like yourself doing the work. And to be able to pass on this message now, if not to your own kids, to people watching here and that sort of thing, save them the trauma, save them the shit, and go, I've done it or I've learned, here are the tools, and I'm going to give you the best of with what I've got, and we've got a hell of a lot more to give. So that'll leave the next generation in good hands, I think.
100%. And you said that well, Scriv. And you know, just, uh, but people will talk when they're ready, and there's the other for. So, yeah, pretty basic, but it's true.
Yeah. So it just cut out a little bit, but you basically just said people will do it when they're ready, right?
Correct. Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, you know, um, you can tell someone going through addiction of whatever, or whatever their vice is. They probably know internally it's not good for them, but until that person's actually ready to face reality and
Mm.
face their demons and face their traumas, then you're not going to get through to anyone who doesn't want to change.
Yeah.
So it's as simple as that. As boring as that is, it's honestly as simple as that. So yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm noticing this with my brother and my dad at the moment now. And also people I know, but mostly them, is no matter how much you preach to someone and tell them that they can change or tell them what to do, they got to do it on their own accord because no one likes to be told either. So the best advice I can give anyone if you're trying to get someone out of an addiction or a poor lifestyle or mindset is be the change instead of trying to show them the way, like force it down them and put them. It's like just be that person that you want them to be. Be the leader.
Hundred
Be
percent.
be the change because yeah, those people will do it when they're ready. And as long as you can be there to support them and love them and forgive them, like what you said with your parents, you forgive them for what happened, and you still love them unconditionally. As long as you're there to be there for them when they hit that bottom, which could be a broken leg for them, it could be anything. But as long as you're there to pick them up and guide them, um, that's what's really gonna help them. I'm noticing that with my dad now. I'll share a little story from experience I had today. So I went and saw my parents because I'm moving to Darwin next week. So I had dinner with them, and my dad's like, "Oh, I haven't barely smoked the last few days." So my dad's and loves a drink as well. It definitely did mention anything about not doing that, but he had stopped. He's cutting down on smoking, and
Good on
um,
you.
I've had some pretty big chats with him about it over the last year, and I stopped talking for a bit because I was like, "Well, like I don't want to see it, so I don't want to be around it," that sort of thing. And that's made him start thinking, and he wants to start changing. And my brother struggles with the same thing: gambling, drinking, smoking as well. Um, and I said to Dad like today, I was like, "You got to be the change." He's like, "Yep." So he's got these sachets that are tigers something mushrooms, and so he's like, "Yeah, put two sachets in my coffee." and have that. And he's like, I don't feel like smoking anymore, blah blah blah. And like he said it's helping, but that him seeing the change in my life, like not me trying to change him, but from him seeing the change has made him want to change. And that's been like, I was so awesome to see that today. It was really good. So,
Good on your dad, mate. Like,
yeah,
there's no age barrier. Like you can change. I hate the saying you can't teach an old dog new tricks because you can. Because maybe your dad has just had enough. Enough. Sometimes you wake up and say enough is enough. Like I don't want to do this. It's just you get tired. You get sick and tired of being sick and tired. Does that make sense?
yeah, 100% it does. Yeah,
So maybe, and good luck to your dad's journey too, man. I hope he gets off the darts and becomes the best possible version of himself.
yeah, yeah. Well, he's 63, and yeah, seriously coughs his lungs up a bit, and has struggled with sickness, and definitely got some mental health stuff, and definitely got plenty of trauma from his childhood. And he's always self-medicated with alcohol, weed. He's always
Yep.
got he was a jockey, so he's got plenty of broken bones and injuries from that. So it's plenty of prescription drugs and that sort of thing. But hopefully this is the start of something, a new life for him at 63. And I found it hilarious that it was a medicinal mushroom, which are very popular at the moment. But
Yeah.
I'd love to one day see him doing breath work or something. That would be bloody amazing. So we'll see if I can get him in a cold shower and ice bath. That would be massive. But it's awesome just to see that little bit of a change. And
It's good,
also
mate.
to know that I've had a bit of a part in that as well. That's really,
You should be proud of that.
yeah,
You're even. It's funny you say you've had an influence on your dad, even someone who's close to you. I've had people reach out to me from like USA and Canada on some of my sobriety videos. I don't know who these people are, saying, "Oh, I'm actually making a better choice because I've been watching your videos." So definitely, it's amazing the power of social media if it's used in a positive light. You
yeah,
definitely can get your message to people who are struggling out there, and it's the open secret that like there's so many people that we know who, as I said, get on some kind of vice. We just don't talk about it as a society. It's just the open secret. Everyone knows. Majority have tried this or that or whatever. But yeah, we don't really talk about how seriously the consequences that come from it are. So you're
yeah.
doing good work, Scrib, mate. Keep it up, man. Continue doing it. Spread the message up to the youth up in the NT, mate. I think you're doing. Keep spreading the word because you're doing a
Yeah.
great job.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm definitely keen to get involved in community in the NT. Because I know there's a lot going on up there, and I would love to, like you said, with the Philippines thing, a great opportunity to be in an environment that I'm not used to, and get some perspective on what's going on. Because even though I've grown up in Frankston, I believe that
Thanks.
the Darwin's a whole nother kettle of fish. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
it probably is, but yeah, no, like you'll be good, mate. You're very mature, 27-year-old mate. So
thanks. I'm actually 28, unfortunately, but.
you're 28, right? I'm flying.
Nah, but that's all. Yeah. Manila? What's next for you?
So yeah, so what's next for me, mate? I don't know about the whole year. I'll be honest, man. I'm pretty exhausted. I've been traveling for 5 years straight, pretty much, man. So for me, I just want to become more grounded. That's probably the last frontier for me on this recovery journey. And I haven't been grounded. As you would know, I've been bouncing all around the world. I'm a weeks off. I've been going to Bali, places like Thailand, doing my boxing training. And I think now I'm ready at age 36 and a half. I'm ready just to, find a little bit of land here in Perth, buy something or rent something and just have a home. I haven't had a home since like 2017, bro. Sorry, 2020 to be exact. So, just little things like, going to your own wardrobe or sitting on your own couch, watching your own TV. I've been bouncing around hostels and hotels and, in the mining industry, FIFO dongers, they call them. So, like, basically just makeshift beds, that a whole bunch of different randoms sleep in. So, for me, just grounding and finding a home is next for me, bro. bit of YouTubing, but yeah, getting good at my trade, dump truck operator and then maybe the excavators and stuff. So building my mining career and just becoming grounded again and just known as a good, reliable bloke who's showing up as the best version of himself day in, day out. And really, if you're doing that, man, when you go to sleep at night, that's all you can really do, mate. If you know you're not bullshitting anyone and you've been true, most authentic, best self, that's really what I'm aiming to do. Right now, I'm already doing it, but we're only really at the baby steps of what I could become if I keep believing in myself and keep doing the right things.
100%. I'd love to actually talk about the mining industry because I don't know a lot about it, but there's a lot of people that go there to make some quick money, travel, party on their weeks off, that sort of thing. What is it like in the mining industry, and specifically, what is it like being a sober person, and what is the mental health like for people that are spending so much time either isolated or when they get their free time, they're getting pissed and partying, and they've got to come back to work 12 hours a day? Is it, yeah, if you can give me some insight, that'd be great.
Yeah, mate. So FIFO, I would say it's a young man's game. There's people, obviously, all ages that do it, but if I was going to do it again, it's get in and get it done. Have a plan, either a 5 or 10-year plan. Get you things like your houses and whatever your goals are. Don't get the golden handcuffs, as they say in the FIFO industry. So don't just go get massive debt just because you're earning good money. You said so often, especially the young blokes, they'll go get the latest jet ski boat, the latest, 4x4 ute, $100,000 ute. They're up to their neck in debt. So don't do that. So yeah, have an escape plan. Don't get in the golden handcuffs. Get in, get out, get it done, and achieve your goals. The earlier, the better. And as far as like the mental health side of things, man, I'll be honest, man, I experienced it a bit last year. Up at my first mining job in the Pilbara, it's definitely a thing. They do have good support services like chaplains on site, numbers that you can call. But yeah, you do see it, man. I can pick out a depressed bloke, because I've been there, mate, and I know what it's all about. So yeah, but it's a lot better than it used to be. 20 years ago, mate, it was just like, mate, play on, harden up, mate. Either like it or you loathe it. If you don't like it, there's the door. Was called Cowboys for a reason. But yeah, these days it's pretty good. And as far as the partying side of things, yeah, I think a lot of the youngies do that, especially from Perth. They make the big bucks 2 on 1, so that means 7 days of days, 7 nights, and then 7 R&R, which is your relax and retreat. And a lot of them get cheap flights over to Bali for the week, live in Canggu, party up like a fiend, and then come back and do it all over again. So in a nutshell, that answers all those questions, bro. So yeah.
So yeah, I really like that they've got resources there and chaplains and that for you to speak with. Do guys openly speak about it to each other though? Like, have you ever had a conversation with someone struggling? No.
Yeah, I have someone I've become really good friends with, but generally no, mate. Like honestly, it's still, it's a big bravado. People don't talk about it, man. People just talk about how successful they are by how big their house is or what car they drive, or in the mining industry, there's a lot of entitlement. So I do find that hard because I don't really value possessions. I value sort of different things. Yeah, we're not really like, yeah, you build great friendships, and yes, you can have those conversations, but it's kind of like the open secret. But there are a lot of services to get help if you actually do need the help mentally. So
do you think people actually use them?
I wouldn't say everybody, but yeah, people do. People do. Yeah, sorry about that. sorry about that, my friend. Yeah, people do, but I just think it's just the individual choice,
Yeah.
I've used it before personally, but I guess it's just there's a lot of stigma with it, like
Yeah.
you mentally, if you speak up, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
there's still
definitely. Yeah.
that. There's still that. But yeah, I do know of people who do use it quite regularly, but it's still, yeah, you just simply don't talk about it with your mates. Most people don't talk about it. So yeah.
What was your experience like with reaching out? Like, were they helpful? What kind of
Oh, they
ways did they
listen.
help you?
They listen. They make sure you're okay as long as you're not like suicidal or saying you're gonna do something crazy. Just more about speaking about your feelings and how they can help to is there things that they can put you forward for, like they got different programs up on some of these sites, for after hours work, like painting classes and yoga classes. Obviously the gym is a big one. So yeah, they're just more there for the moral support to
Cool.
ensure that you're okay mentally and physically. So yeah.
Cool. What else is there after hours? So you got the gym. Is there a place where people congregate after work hours? Obviously, there's people are probably knackered, but
Yeah, so basically the main one there, mate, is called the wet mess. So that's the bar. And people do like to enjoy a drink after a 12 or 13-hour day on the tools. Absolutely.
yeah. So would you say there's
That's
a this drinking culture there?
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah,
It's getting less, especially with the younger people coming through, the new generation. They don't drink as much. But the older contingent, blokes over 40, yeah, they like their six pack after work, which is I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
yeah. Do
Yeah.
you do you think, like, as we were talking about earlier, that it's people use vices for an escape and that sort of thing? Do you think it's depression, or like are they escaping, or are they just genuinely enjoy the taste of beers after work?
I think it's just ingrained in their culture, mate, especially the older lads over 40, I would say. I would say the younger generation, especially under 30s, are more aware of alcohol and drugs and all that more so than ever. But yeah, I think it's just blokes who have been doing it that long. It's just a part of who they are, and they don't see it as they're hurting anybody. And as long as they keep it in control and it doesn't affect their work, I mean, there are stories people do get a little bit carried away, but yeah, I think people just enjoy their drink and they go about it that way. So, but yeah, there's definitely a contingent. I would say the over 40s do it more so than the youngins, from what I've seen in the FIFO industry.
Awesome. Thank you for the insight into what it's like for a FIFO worker and that experience. Touching on the alcohol side, or the getting off. So we've spoken about what led you to drinking and what led you to changing. But what has been the massive change for you in terms of helping you get from 0 to 100? What's kept you on track the whole time? Like, I want to talk about the training in Thailand and the boxing, because you've mentioned that boxing really helped keep you motivated. You're obviously in the gym a lot. What's been a massive tool for you to avoid going back to drinking?
Um, just self belief again, mate. To be honest, because when you're caught up in all those vices, you kind of don't believe. You kind of give up on yourself. You kind of just abandon ship. So just believing in myself again and turning one day into two, and then I think once I got to 10 days, then all right, we can get to 30 easy. And then when you go over to 30, you kind of breaking the habits, and then the habits you start doing, like the gym, like the boxing, you're just feeling too good to go back to it. So um, basically, it was just simply the way that I was feeling about myself. I hadn't felt that positive about myself probably for at least 5 to 10 years in any timeline. So it was just all those positive affirmations from the boxing, from the gym work, from eating not perfect, you don't have a cheeky meal here and there, but just from positive affirmations, positive habits, day in, day out. And, why would you want to go back to what you were doing before? Because you know that it makes you feel like absolute shit. So, yeah, in a nutshell, mate, just basically making better choices and feeling a lot better about myself as a person.
Cool. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is positive affirmations. So you're talking to yourself well, positive habits, which is exercise, boxing, gym, healthy diet, and then remembering what your why is. So, like reminding yourself of how shit you felt before, how good you feel now, and just remembering why are you doing this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was there ever a day,
100%.
or what's been your hardest moment over the 106, 7 days? There's been a time when you're like, fuck, I can't do it. I'm going to give up, or something that's happened that's made you think, like, get close to turning back. Because I know we spoke the last time you got to 14 days and you cracked, and like, fortunately, you started
Yeah.
again. Um,
Um,
has there ever been a
this
moment?
no, to answer your question, no, that like honestly, mate, I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. So even when I've had my low days, um, I just said no. Why would I want to go put on that bet? Why would I even want to put myself with those people that hang around all the bars and just bet on horses aimlessly and put on multis aimlessly? Like, why would I put myself in that position? Like, we know that's no good for me. We know that I've got no self control, and we know that it's led me to losing my friends. And you just think of all the negative consequences from your poor choices. And that's pretty much in a nutshell, man. I just don't want to do that, man. Like, I'm done. There's only so many times you can keep making the same mistake. And so far, yeah, sometimes I've thought about it. Like, there are days I actually think, yeah, I wouldn't mind having a bet today, or Sunday sesh. You know what it's like, mate. It doesn't change just because you get a little bit older. But and I just for the most, I'm not saying I'll never have a beer again. There might come a time I might have a beer in the future, bro. But um, I'm probably in a better space mentally, physically, and emotionally, and I can probably be able to easily say to myself, "Yep, sweet as, let's have a beer and enjoy it with potential future wife or whatever." But gone are the days, of getting absolutely rinsed with the lads just for absolutely no reason other than just to get rinsed. So, but no, there hasn't really been a shaky moment so far.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely feel the same way, and I'm glad that you mentioned that there still are hard days. Like, it isn't all sunshine and rainbows. There's still tough days, but you just remind yourself, like, why would I want to go back to that? And
Pretty
feel
much, yeah.
yeah. Do you feel what's your social circles in life like now? Do you feel a bit isolated because you aren't a part of that culture, or like you said, you're not going to go down and surround yourself with those people that are drinking or having bets? Do you feel like your social circles change?
Yeah, it does, mate, because you know, yeah, to be honest, I don't really have that many friends anymore. I just kind of hang around my workmates while I'm at work. And then when I get back to Perth, maybe I go overseas. So I'm still trying to make good connections over here in WA. Um, but yeah, so I'm so used to my own company, mate, to be honest. Like, I just go to the gym by myself. I go out for feeds by myself most of the time. And, kind of got recently I met a special friend. We've been hanging out recently, so it's been good. But yeah, bro, like, I don't really feel lost. I just look at it like that was a timeline in my life, and I wish those other people the best. But we don't, other than having a few drinks and having a few bets, really, we don't really have that much in common. So I guess you just choose to make better decisions, and those sorts of people just kind of drop off as the timeline goes away, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got a coach for training?
Yeah, so Richard Dietering, check him out on Instagram. Really good guy. He's written me up a program, calories in, calories out, 5 different training sessions per week. And yeah, it's really helped me just have a guided plan to, I still cheat a bit, mate. I'm not perfect. But yeah, it's good to be paying for that and have a structured plan because I'm in probably, close to the best shape I've ever been in. And we're getting better each and every day. So yeah, it's been a big turnaround, but yeah, we just keep on trying, mate. We just keep on trying, Scribber.
Yeah, well, you're looking good. So props to your coach. It's obviously what paying off. Um,
Yep.
what made you want to get a coach?
Mainly just accountability, man. in a nutshell, mobility. And I think when you pay for something, you're more inclined to actually kind of, people say that's a rip off, whatever it is, $60 odd a week. But, what would be, I'd easily go spend $200 at the bar on a Friday night, if not more. So, it's just the priorities, isn't it, at the end of the day? So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's so much value in having someone in your corner, and $60 is nothing in comparison to what you'd be spending on, like, that's a shit weekend of Uber Eats, really. Like it's not that much when you compare it to something else. Like a
No,
lot of people won't spend $60 on a coach a week. Like they said, $200 at a bar, a bag, like that's $300 gone. That's five. That's five bucks of having
how
a
it works,
coach.
mate. I
Hey,
could spend $1,000. I could spend
yeah,
$1,000 on a Friday night if I wanted to, easily.
yeah.
So,
It's
yeah.
it's just the way you look at it, the mindset you're in.
Yeah.
And you're definitely right. I think if it's free, people don't value it at all, and
No.
they'll be like, oh well, I can just do it whenever it's free. I'll come back to it, and they never do, and then you never get results. So I think you get out what you put in, and you're investing in yourself at the end of the day. So it's paying off, and all credit to you for going
Appreciate that, bro.
putting the effort in and actually doing the work, man. Because I definitely am seeing the difference. Weight's definitely falling off you, so you're doing really well.
Appreciate that, Scrib, mate. And appreciate the opportunity to have a chat to you today, mate. I really
Cheers.
do.
Is there anything else you want to say to the people before we shoot off? We can I'll tag your Instagram and YouTube in there. We've mentioned it before,
Yep.
but I'll get it tagged so people can
Yeah,
have a
mate. I just want to
look.
say, obviously, thanks for the opportunity to have a chat to you today. And it's been a long time coming, this sort of mental health sobriety journey. And I would just say to your fans and the people who watch your content, try not judge other people. It's easy to judge other people, like from the outside. Like if a healthy, normal person who hasn't experienced addictions before can easily look at someone who's got a gambling problem or a drug issue or whatever it is, an anger issue, alcohol problem, whatever, and judge. So I really would encourage your audience, the ones that are interested in why people do these things and why they use these things to escape, maybe just have like a really trying to understand people, because at the end of the day, we are all only people, and it's easy just to kind of just throw those people who have got addictions and going through a struggle as losers, as like misfits of society. I guess maybe to your audience, just have a bit of understanding and a bit of knowledge that good people can do some bad things. It doesn't necessarily make them bad people. So that's the final message that I would say to anyone who's interested in the topic and if anyone going through a struggle.
Yeah, I think next time you do see someone in the street or wherever online, anything else, and you catch yourself judging them, you can even look at your example and go like, this person isn't a bad person. They've had experiences from a child that's led them to where they are. Like that person could have dealt with childhood trauma. They could have, um, you know, seen drugs and alcohol in their whole life growing up, and they don't know any better. And they had issues with their parents, and that's what's led them to be where they are. They're not necessarily a bad person. They've just
Yeah,
uh, have gone through hardship, and having that perspective really changes the way you do look at some people, and it gives you a lot more empathy to realize that they are just a human being. And like our parents, they do the best with what they've got, and unfortunately, that's what they've got at the moment. And hopefully, they have a life defining moment. Hopefully, not as painful as breaking their leg and splitting all their ligaments, but um,
no,
hopefully the bottom doesn't hit too hard, and they could bounce up off, and hopefully come out the other side as successful as you are, mate, because you're doing really well. So yeah,
appreciate it very much, mate. And yeah, keep doing your good work, man. And yeah, mate. Yeah, appreciate you having me on the show today.
awesome. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and I hope you did need to hear this.
Cheers.